Hey guys, it's Mike, and you're watching That's Cool Vintage Collectibles. And I didn't get a video up last week. I was down in Florida on a vacation and a family holiday. We were at Disney and four of the Disney parks, plus Kennedy Space Center and the Space Coast. So there wasn't a lot of time for looking around for collectibles and things like that. But I wouldn't be me if I didn't manage to do that and pick up a few items for the collection. So wanted to show you today a few of the things I brought back. Stay tuned. Well, by the time I got some free time to explore and look around for collectibles, we were over on the Atlantic coast side and in a location called Cocoa Beach. And Cocoa Beach is right along the coast, but if you go across the causeway, there's Cocoa Village. And in Cocoa Village, there are a couple of stores that I'd been to before, actually, and remembered. So I checked that out. The first was the Parrots Cove Antique Mall. This place is okay. It's got a few collectible dealers that have things that I have interest in, and there's a lot of reproduction stuff in here. There's a lot of kind of mediocre things. It's not the best place, but there's a lot of good stuff if you dig hard enough. I found a couple of things in here today, but overall it's a nice place to look around, and it's clean and well organized and kind of easy to maneuver. So that's some good positive things. I think antique malls in general right now are struggling, no matter where you are, just to find items that are saleable. And to be honest, I think most of the dealers put their best stuff online to try to get top bids for them, and why wouldn't you? So sometimes looking around is a bit hit and miss, and for me, I also have the Canadian dollar at play, which makes things a little more difficult as well. So you just have to do your best and see what you can find. So I had a good look around here, and I'll show you what I picked up. Well, the first items I picked up, these are not earth-shattering items, but I didn't have them, and they were very cheap. First one was Rare Earth Ecology. This record is 1970 from the Motown label, but Rare Earth always had their own label like that. And there's the track Born to Wander is on this, which I didn't have, so that was just for that, but I paid $1 for it. Pretty cool. An interesting record for me, one that I didn't own. I don't know how rare this is, but James Taylor's 1968 debut, and this is the American gatefold Apple pressing. And so James Taylor was one of the early artists signed to Apple. And you have the Apple record. Record's in good shape. Again, that one was $1. I didn't have it, so that's pretty cool. Check that out, see how it plays. But really, I used them for packing material, to be honest. I needed both those records. Because the one I actually did want that I didn't have was this. And I have to do a little research into what this exactly is. This is on the German Odeon, or Odeon label. It's a Beatle record from the mid-'80s, but with the revolver image on the back, or one taken around that time, and what looks to be possibly an Abbey Road or era picture on the front. But it's just called Sessions, the Beatles Sessions, and a lot of stuff on here that is outtakes and songs that never were finished, and yeah, I have to listen to it and just see what it is. But I think it's all stuff they were recording and is what was from the Let It Be documentary, I believe. So I think that's what this is. But it's from 1986. It's German. I don't know if this is bootleg. I get the feeling it might be. But it was one I didn't have and a unique Beatle record. So that's what I picked up there. Okay, so down the street I found another little antique mall, and inside it was a shop, sort of a shop within a shop called Space Coast Records. And I was only traveling with a carry-on, so I didn't have a lot of space for any more 33s. But I've been getting into collecting 45s again, and I collected 45s for years, and I've got a lot of them. But I've started to rediscover my enjoyment in collecting those, and they're kind of, they take up less space, and I think they're more of the period anyway. As a rock sort of historian, I enjoy that authenticity. But I grabbed a little stack, nothing too amazing here, but the first one is just to kind of give you an idea of what I collect. I collect records from about 1948, 49 when the 45 was created, through till about 1970, and then the odd one after that. But I don't need, you know, a Boston 45 overly too much. But I do like collecting 45s from the era of when the single was king, and when that era was represented by the singles over the albums for the most part. So that's the era I collect for 45. So let's take a look at what I got here. Okay, so first up, I got the Chiffons, One Fine Day, and it had the original outer sleeve for Laurie Records. As more of a completist for the era, I do have a few of the girl groups, Ronettes and things like that, but just a handful of the bigger hits that were a representation of this era. And whether I keep this one or not, I'm not sure, but to have that nice original sleeve, and the condition on it is really good for an early 60s 45. So I picked that one up. It was $1. This one is an April Wine 45, and being Canadian, I couldn't resist getting an April Wine record on the Big Tree Records label, which is their American representation. Usually it was on Aquarius up here. This is from 1972, could have been a lady, one of their earlier singles. And again, the condition being really, really good. So I picked that one up as well. And oddly enough, the fella that I bought it from didn't know who they were. So there you go. These next two were interesting. These are original UK pressings for a band called The Shadows. The Shadows are probably most well known for a song called Apache that was an instrumental. They were an instrumental group, and were one of the backing bands for one of the UK's first true rock stars. And if you can tell me who that is in the comments, let's see if you know. Who did The Shadows back up? See if you know that one. Okay, another record I picked up. This is a 45 on Atlantic, and I love this early era Atlantic soul era, and they were so influential on so many acts, including Robert Plant, things like that. He was a big fan of this era as well. This is Carla Thomas, and original sleeve, nice condition, and all of these early Atlantic records were soul and gospel influenced, and pretty cool stuff. It's okay. I'm a guitar guy primarily, but some of that older stuff is pretty good. The last one I picked up was an original VJ pressing of somebody I've never heard of, but I don't know who they might be. Betty Everett and Jerry Butler, and a lot of VJ stuff. VJ was a Chicago-based label. A lot of black artists, a lot of soul, R&B, and gospel stuff came out of there. So I'll give it a try, see what it sounds like. I think it's going to be more of like a vocal track, maybe a doo-wop almost sort of thing. But anything on VJ I like to try to pick up and collect. And that is a little stack of 45s I found in there. Okay, next up, I've seen these before, but I've never owned any. And this is a pack of 12 Dodger Baseball Stars 5x7 pictures in the original cello sleeve. And this is all Dodgers, Don Drysdale right on the front there. But these are great and in really good condition. The package is open. And there's the whole group here. Fantastic shape. I think these are really interesting. And it also had the original order form and slip still in there too. So I thought that was pretty cool. And from an early LA Dodgers set. So that's the first thing I picked up, kind of baseball card related, that was down there. The other thing I grabbed out of there was this 1961 Fleer Baseball's Best Walter Johnson. That was from that set, so I grabbed that one as well. And this is a little set that came out in '61 that had a whole bunch of players from the turn of the century right up that were considered baseball's best ever at that time. So all-time greats. Baseball Greats, I think, is what the set was called. So there you go. That was another edition. Okay, so next up, I went down the road and there was another antique market, and I checked that out, and this was an antique shop, actually, and I found this, and maybe because I was just at Disney with my family, I thought this was pretty cool, but this is Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all their pals, and it's a book, and you might be thinking, oh, okay, but this book is actually pretty interesting and dates back to, this is from 1937. So it's an original edition from 1937 of this Mickey Mouse book. It was reissued in the 50s, and those have a little sticker right in there that say that. But this is an original, so that was pretty cool to come up with and to bring back. That was the first thing I found in there. And in that shop as well, I found a Sporting News from 1967 with Whitey Ford on the front, and being a New York Yankee fan like I am, I couldn't resist leaving that behind. So I had to bring that home, and it was all of $4, so I was thrilled to add that to the collection as well. And the very last thing I'm going to show you that I picked up, this is a kind of a unique piece. I didn't expect finding one of these. This is a 1936 Gaudi, they were called a wide pen card, and they're kind of an odd shape, and they're paper. They're not like a card, like a baseball card. They're more of a paper. Walter Berger, Brooklyn Dodgers. I don't know anything about Walter Berger, but this seemed very interesting to me. And a 1936 Gaudi is interesting, and the condition was very good. I think there's some great stuff going on here. So I picked that one up as well, just to add to the collection. So there you have it. That sums up my hour and a half of looking around in Cocoa Beach and the things I was able to find. I was pretty happy with that, actually. There's some stuff that I don't see where I'm from, and that's kind of what you look for when you're on vacation and collecting. So stuff that's a little more interesting that I don't come across all the time. It's, you know, people who know me know I collect all kinds of different things, and that certainly is all kinds of different stuff right there. So records and sports memorabilia and other vintage items, and that's what this channel is about. So if you're into that, like and subscribe, keep on collecting, and we'll see you next time.